You're about to take an inward journey that will be the most valuable experience of your life. The observation exercise, as it is called, is really a daily commitment to bring forth what you know is right in your heart. Put aside all expectations. Don't do it to feel better. Do it because you want to be a clear, thinking, self-motivated individual. Expecting an outcome involves will, the usual struggle that has up to now caused frustration and complicated your life. So for the time being, put aside your fears and anxieties over your symptoms and troubles. Give all your attention to these very simple basic instructions. Repeat the meditation exercise on your own 3 times a day, especially first thing in the morning and last thing at night. It is unwise to attempt to analyze why this procedure works so well. Understanding is a wordless gift of knowing you always had, but didn't live. The negative faith of worry and doubt is the ego's compensation for not trusting that knowing. Emotional decisions always backfired, complicated your life, and led to confusion, depression, and despair. Whenever doubt approaches, observe quietly and watch it go away. Faith does not come the way you thought. While it is not possible to make yourself believe and have faith, you can do the equivalent by calmly resisting the tendency to doubt. Do not wait until you feel like meditating. Do it religiously. The purpose is to lead your feelings and keep them from washing over your common sense and preventing you from acting faithfully and wisely. If there's only one thing you must do or will to do for yourself, let it be to sit quietly and allow intuitive knowing to impress upon your senses from within. Once you are past a mysterious reluctance to meditate, you'll be very glad you did. This exercise should not be learned by rote or become mechanical. Do it each time as if it were the very first time you ever did it, so that it remains a commitment to do what you know is right in your heart. A slightly distant sensation is really your protection. You will understand this one day. You have been imprisoned in an emotionally based daydream state of thought most of your life. You haven't realized it. This exercise will help you rise above the virtual reality of your thinking, causing some interesting experiences. But don't worry. Hold your ground. No harm will come. Wonder, watch, observe, question. You'll be safe. Never add anything to what you've been shown. The meditation sets in motion a process of subjecting the subconscious to the overarching soul of enlightened reason, renewing your mind and being from within. The meditation resolves one basic root cause underlying most of your problems, one of resentment. Catch resentment before it washes over you. Resentment must be recognized for what it is, and then neutralized every single moment of your life in thought, word, and deed. Failing that, the past will continue to be reinforced in the present to become that hopeless, depressing future. Be done with useless affirmations such as, I will be brave, I will lose weight and get well. Resist resentfully and willfully struggling with any problems that might rise to the surface. The meditation exercise contains all the ingredients for effortless self-control. The value accumulates only when practiced daily. To break any habit, stop trying. Just sit quietly and do the exercise, and mysteriously problems will resolve themselves, often with the very last one to appear. Guilt, fear, and depression will fade away. All this may be quite puzzling, but remember what I said. Do not analyze. Resist the angry struggle against everything. Let go and let God do the work, in a manner of speaking. These words will be your guide. Learn to do the exercise without this instruction. The day you stop this meditation exercise will be the day you fall back, and it might be impossible to ever begin again. Only in the true objective state can the newly aware self inherit faith, whereby faith, patience, may do its perfect work. Patience is the evidence of faith, just as impatience is the evidence of doubt. Soon you will fully appreciate and marvel how far the principle of patient endurance and love can take you through life, restore your health and happiness. Patience builds the only thing of worth you take out of the world as you leave: character. This simple exercise will lead your consciousness out from the emotional prison of your thinking, awaken you progressively to higher realms of truth that will set you free.
All my life, I've watched my father be a teacher. All my life, I've watched my father try and teach people how to be still and know that he is God. Not my Father, but our Father in heaven. But my father, my dad, has spent his whole life teaching this. And it's so funny because it's so simple. And yet, over and over and over again, we do the same thing expecting a different outcome. Or maybe we don't even expect a different outcome. We hope for a different outcome because we don't want to stop being who we are. It seems that we don't want to stop or give up what we want. It's interesting. As of lately, I've been being very aware of my life. Do I make mistakes? Yes, every day, which is giving me another opportunity every day to not repeat that same mistake again, getting angry at my wife, getting angry at a contractor, getting angry at anybody, person driving in front of me, going too slow. It just seems like at this age of my life, I've done these same things over and over and over again so many times. It just seems very foolish to continue doing the same thing and expecting there to be a different outcome. At what point do we stop living Groundhog Day? At what point does our wisdom say, stop? At what point do we choose a better way of life? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I look at my children and my friends and their children and their lives and lives all around me, and I see that we are all making the same, really quite simple mistake over and over and over and over again. We're not willing to look at ourselves, to look at our reactions. My father's written books and books and books, and people keep buying the books and keep reading the books, and yet they ask the simplest questions when they call in and or write in. They ask the simplest questions. Why don't I have motivation? Why can't I get myself out of bed in the morning? I remember my father used to come in every day, tying his tie, getting ready for work, and he'd open my door and he'd say, "Get up, you can't sleep the whole day away." And I would think in my mind, "Leave me alone, I'm tired." And I might even say that. And he'd say, "I'm not going to leave until you're up and starting your day." And then he'd go away and he'd come back and he'd be mostly dressed. And he'd say, "Come on now, get up. You can't sleep the whole day away." And as much as I didn't like it, I would get up and I would start my day. And I appreciate that about my dad. My dad was very purposeful. He has a purpose-driven life. He said to me the other day, "I want to go out. I want to go out and I want to do what I want to do." And I said, "Well, Dad, there's a pandemic going on right now and they have all these crazy laws where people are in lockdown and businesses can't open and There's a big upheaval that's coming. It's beginning. People are starting to march on the state capitals. And he says, it's all a bunch of BS. And I thought about it. And I thought, yeah, it is a bunch of BS. It's political. It's a money grab. No good pandemic should go wasted, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, there was a pandemic, yes. There was this virus, but there's a lot of viruses. But my dad said to me, I'm willing to take my chances. That's the big question right there. Are you willing to take your chances? Are you living a life that you're confident that your Father in heaven will save you from the pandemic, the virus? Or do you doubt yourself because you haven't lived that life that you know you should? Well, here's what I say. Here's what I say. You must start living that life that you should. I've been saying it in these talks about we should live the life that Jesus lived, which was instead of being willing to die for what you believe, being willing to live for what you believe. It's really simple. I think to myself, my gosh, my dad has been trying to convince people to just slow down, sit down in a straight back chair, and meditate for a few minutes every day, and it'll change your life. And maybe they do, but then they click right back into the old way of life. And I just don't understand, if you're listening to the wisdom that he has been saying and teaching for some 50, 60 years now, are you still sleeping with the enemy? Are you still allowing the dark side to make a home inside of you? And you can't get rid of your demons if you like their company. So at what point do you get in your life where you finally say enough is enough? And you really knuckle down and you do what needs to be done. And then if you are reading the good book, any one you want, they all say the same thing. God gave Moses 10 commandments. And if you live those commandments, your life will be different than it is today. If you just live the most important commandment, as we've talked about, to love the Lord with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, it sets into motion something that makes it quite easy. Of course, the second one, he said, is to love your neighbor as yourself. If you just do those two, then all of a sudden, it's 10 commandments, but those two take care of pretty much all of them. I don't understand why all of us continue to live these lives doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Getting angry at your husband, getting angry at your wife, getting angry at your boss, getting angry at your employees, getting angry at your children, getting angry at anything. Angry, 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 angry. I haven't been able to get a haircut. I could have shaved. But I thought, well, I'm just going to let it go. I'll wait till they open up the barber shops and I'll go get a haircut. And if it gets too long, I'll get my wife to cut it. But getting angry at it doesn't do any good. Getting angry at what's going on in our world today doesn't do any good. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So, go about your day. But don't just sit on a couch. Don't just sit there and watch TV. Don't just sit there and watch the news and think, oh, woe is me. The world is coming to an end. Don't do that. Get out and live your life. Plant a garden. Clean your house. Tidy up your world, your business, your desk at work, whatever it might be. Start to move in a direction of sanity. Because that same old wheel spinning around and around and around is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. What are you going to do? What new thing are you going to do? Wake up early? Clean the kitchen? Make your bed? Clean your bedroom? Whatever it is. Don't keep living the same life over and over and over again. If it hasn't worked, why do you keep doing? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I get that. But if it's not working, if it's broke, then you need to try and fix it. You need to move in a direction. My wife said to me the other day, "What are you going to do today?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just going to live one moment at a time. I'm going to get up, I'm going to get ready, and I'm going to go outside." And then something will say, "Hey, you haven't done this job." Or, "Hey, this needs attention." Or I'll be walking in a direction and something will say, "You need to go and do this," whatever it is. But if you don't ever give God a chance to speak in your life, then you're going to sit there and watch TV and wait for the end of the world to come. I think my talk today is pretty simple. It's just get up, get out, and start living. Get up, get out, and start living. It's really simple. Stop doing the same things over and over again. Watch them. All you have to do is be aware. If you just watch your reactions, something inside will say, wait. If you just watch, even if you just pause, the other person will go, "What?" And then maybe you have a chance to take a different angle at it and say, "You know, I was getting angry and I realized it's wrong." You know what happens just with that one simple thing? The other person looks at you and says, "Really? Wow." And something new begins. Because when you take the chance to stop your ego, your pride, your will from having a voice, and you be in charge of yourself, you must be in charge of yourself. Otherwise, you've given away the keys to the kingdom. It's like my talk last week. I forgot to be a man. The whole talk was not about that, but the whole talk was that men think because we're men. But just because we're male doesn't make us men. There's a difference. Man has a job. Woman has a job. Happy Mother's Day. We're taping this today on Mother's Day. But man's job is a very, very, very important job. He's supposed to be a leader. You know, the Jews think, and actually all the religions believe, that their religion is the most important one and the best one. And the reality is that I think all people are spiritual at their nature, at the core of their nature. And then they go off and they get into the words and they start trying to remember knowledge. They're grabbing for the knowledge, and so that they can regurgitate verse and chapter to somebody else as if it's a competition, like a spelling bee. I'm not very good at regurgitating verse and chapter, but I understand what that verse or chapter taught me. And I take it into my heart and I start living it. And I don't need to remember the verse and chapter. Now sometimes it's nice, like I remember 46:10 now, "Be still and know that I am God." That's probably the only one I really care to remember. But I will say that I believe it's important that we look at our lives, we take inventory of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we say to ourselves, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Forgive me, Father, for I have trespassed. Forgive me, Father, for I have been angry and hateful and resentful and lustful." And actually own it. Because until you own it, you're just kind of keeping the demons off to the side. You can't get rid of your demons if you still like their company. You got to own it. And you got to get up, get out, and start living your life. Where's your motivation? Your motivation has been consumed by the glutton that lives inside of you, or the sloth, the sin of laziness. It's consuming you slowly. And sadly, when we finally come to our deathbed, you tell somebody, "I wish I would have done this," or "I wish I would have done that." Stop wishing and start living. Stop wishing you could be a better person and start being one. Make the choice. Every time, pause just for a second and just be aware. Just be conscious. Is this my decision, or is it my pride, my will, my ego, my anger, whatever? Those things will bubble up and you can see them. And once you see them, you can let it pass and say, "No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be who I'm supposed to be," which is a person that hears the Father in heaven speaking into their heart. I started this talk today with a moment of silence to hear my Father in my mind teach again something He's taught us all hundreds of thousands of millions of times because of His recordings, which is to learn how to find that stillness. Without that stillness, you can't tell where you are. You've lost your equilibrium. It says to either be hot or cold, not lukewarm. You can't just hang out in the middle. You have to make a decision. Either you're going to stay over here where the temperature's nice and you can lounge around and live your life in your comfort zone, or you can go out into the cold a little bit, put on an extra suit of armor, extra bit of clothing, and you can go out and find an adventure. So I don't know if I said that right, but I think you know what I mean. It's time to stop being comfortable. We live our lives in this warm, comfortable area over here, and we never really experience what life has for us. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. You can never leave the harbor until you untie from the dock and begin your adventure. So I think that we all have to realize that we're going to keep on living Groundhog Day over and over again until such times as we make some very, very important decisions in our hearts, which is that we are sick and tired of living the same old life, reacting the same old way, hating the same old way, judging the same old way. It's you name it. Pick your sin. The same old way. Check the box. The next one, the same old way. Check the box. How many times, how many years do we have to live like that before we finally realize this is the road to hell? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. These are all little things that we've heard. It really is, because you could say, well, I intended to do this. My intentions were good. I hear that all the time from people. Well, my intentions were good. I just wanted to help that person. If you truly want to help somebody, you'll get quiet. You'll let God in heaven know what you're wanting. to do. You want to help somebody. But it all boils down to your intent. Well, I intended to do this, or I intended to do that. And things change in life. Like I own a gym. I'm not sure if I'm going to open it back up. So in that case, while it's closed, I have some employees I can have do things. But if I don't open it back up and I just shut it down, because will people want to go to the gym after this pandemic? The average person in the world lives in fear right now. They don't want to be working on a workout machine after somebody else has been sweating on it that could have the virus. Oh, fear. So maybe that gym is not a viable business anymore. These are the things we have to determine. What are we doing with our lives? How is this going to change our lives? Even to the point, if we get a check from the government, do we feel guilty? Are we happy? Are we going to complain about something because now they're going to make us pay income tax? If it is income, pay your tax. All I can say is that there's a million opportunities every day, a million opportunities every day for you to be a better human being, for you to make better choices, for you to live your life in a more honest and honorable way. And guess what? When you start living in an honest and honorable way, everything starts changing. Everything. Your relationships with your family, your relationships with your employees or your employer, your relationships in the business world, your relationship with your Creator. Everything starts changing. And you don't have those same silly questions. Oh, I can't motivate myself. I can't get up in the morning. You have to stop listening to that little lazy voice in your head that says, you're tired. Sleep a little longer. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to work anyway. Just sleep a little longer. That sleep is the death of you. Because by the sweat off your brow shall you earn your bread. You should get up and get going. Start living your life. You can look around your home and there's 100 things you can do inside the home. There's 100 things you can do outside the home. There's probably 100 things you can do at work. There's 100 relationships that need mending. Call your children. Communicate with them. Try and mend the broken fences. But laying there in bed, not being motivated, continuing the same life over and over again is only going to take you to an early grave and an unhappy grave. I want to finish well. I want to finish well, not for me. I want to finish well for my family. I want to finish well for you. I want to finish well for my Father in heaven. I want to be a worker of His will. I want to deliver a message that comes from Him. So I started this talk being quiet. Trying to say, Father, please grant me wisdom. Show me what message I should say today to these people. It's not easy. It's not easy to lose yourself that you have created and give up your own self for something that is more noble. I saw a movie about Solomon the other day, King Solomon. And it was very interesting. He asked God to give him wisdom and courage. And God granted him wisdom because he didn't ask for money and power. He just wanted wisdom. I just want wisdom. But I continued watching this movie about the life of King Solomon. And I mean, it didn't take long. He got married. He got married for the wrong reasons, to try and keep the peace and for business. Then he married another woman, and then another woman, and then another woman. And he did this some 800 or 900 times. He had 800, I think somebody said 895 wives. My first thought was, after he married 1, 2, 3, I thought God gave him wisdom. God can give you wisdom. It's what you do with it that matters. Now, God gave Solomon that wisdom, but because he felt good about himself, because he felt that he was anointed, that he could do whatever he thought was right, without seeking from his Father in heaven, without seeking wisdom, more wisdom, continued wisdom, without seeking from his Father saying, Father, this woman is so beautiful, and I want her. Instead, he just said, God gave me wisdom. She's beautiful. I want her and I'll have her. Wow. That is the abuse of the power that God gave him. The strength that God gave him, the wisdom that God gave him, which is really, it was interesting to me. I thought to myself, okay, so God can grant you your wish, which is to give me wisdom. And then you feel like everything's going right. I know what to say. I know what to do. Which means I have the power of God. But the thing he forgot to do was to keep returning to the wellspring and saying, today, Father, I have a problem. I don't know what to do. Show me the way. Continue to give me wisdom, because today I don't know what to do. The moment you think you know what to do, the moment you think God gave me this wisdom, this knowledge, this strength, whatever it is the day you're heading in the wrong direction. So I'm glad for these stories in the Bible. I'm glad that I cannot have to make the same mistake that Solomon did. Because if God is to give me wisdom, I know that I have to keep returning every day. Every time I have something that I have the tiniest doubt. Every time I reach that Y in the road and I think, which way should I go, Lord? I'll wait, because I'm not sure. Unless I get a premonition and I go this way. It's a very interesting thing, I got to tell you. You got to have a pure heart. And I mean, why shouldn't we want to have a pure heart? I want to have a pure heart, don't you? I want to have an unselfish heart. I want to have a loving heart of my family, toward my family, my friends, and my neighbors. This journey is so interesting, I got to tell you. It's like all of a sudden I've been dropped in the middle of Disneyland. And you know, when you go to Disneyland, you get a map. I want to see where the haunted castle is and whatever else, and I want to go there. But the map that we get in life is the Bible. And it's a little tricky. You read the stories, and then you have to kind of determine what you should do. The difference is we have our Father in heaven who we can ask questions. We get to that place where we go, uh-oh, the road splits. Father, I don't know which way to go. I need your help. I need your guidance. But you have to have a pure heart. So my life right now, I feel like I'm in Disneyland. And there's Danger Island. And there's the roller coaster over there that has always seemed a little dangerous to me. But it's bringing me a lot of joy. It's bringing me a lot of happiness for myself, because I have wanted to know these things all of my life. Don't you? Don't you want to know the answers to many of these things, which I have to tell you, they're very, very simple in comparison to what I thought they were. To me, that was a giant mountain. A giant mountain. Every question was, oh my gosh, I have to climb that mountain to get the answer. But it really isn't that difficult. It matters that you have a pure heart, that you love your Lord with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength. And you meditate a little bit. And sometimes you just don't know. And you go, okay, I'll wait. Learn how to be patient. Learn how to be forgiving of those who are cruel to you. Remember, I've heard my father say, and I'm sure you have too, overlook on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience. I've heard that 100,000 times. And it resonated in my mind, and I thought, yep, I'm going to try and do that. But because I like the company of my demons, I never really was able to achieve that. Like I said, if you like the company of your demons, you can never get rid of them. So I'm kind of at that stage in my life where I don't like the company of my demons anymore, and I want to get rid of them. And guess what? All I had to do was turn my attention to my Father in heaven, and it's like they just dissipate. They just fizzle out. I'm not saying that it doesn't take a certain amount of movement, forward movement towards the light. But we have all been damaged in one way or another in our lives. We've all been hurt. We all have trauma. But we also carry it with us, like I talked about last week, like a giant, like bags of sand, and we drag them through life. All of the anger and all of the contempt and all of the memories, every memory that you hold on to, that you're hating your brother, you're hating your mother, you're hating your sister, you're hating your father, you're hating yourself, hating your boss, hating that person that was cruel to you, hating some kid in school that punched you one time, or hating the person that sexually abused you, whatever it is. Whatever it is, you've got to be willing to let it go and forgive on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience. Because what good is it to bring it all with you through your life? What good has it done you? Ask yourself that. What good has it done you to allow it to live inside of you? None. No good at all. Zero. The memory of it. That's why you have to keep focusing on your Father in heaven and say, Father, I'm angry. Father, I'm whatever your ailment is, and just give it to Him. Give it over to God, let Him deal with it. My wife says to me the other day, she says, what's the matter? I said, she says, what's the matter? I said, why is it we clam up like that? She could see there was something on me. I think she might have asked me even a third time, come on now, what's the matter? What good does it do for you to be sitting there being angry? Whatever it was. And I just said, I'm not happy about this and I'm not happy about that. Whatever it was weighing on me. She said, well, there's nothing you can do about it. Why be angry? If there's nothing you can do about it, why be angry? Because you think, oh, there is something I can do about it. That person did this or this person did that or whatever it might be. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Let it go. Let it go on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience. Wow. How do you do that? When you're angry about something, how do you just let it go? Well, You can. You have to choose to. Life is a series of choices every day. I have to choose to come here. Sit here and talk to you folks. Wait and see what my Father in heaven wants me to talk to you about. Maybe I'm going to talk about a lot of things because there's a lot of people that are watching this. I think we get, 1,400 to 1,600 or 2,000 views per video. Let's just say that's a person. 1,400 people, 2,000 people, whatever it is. I may say one thing, one little thing that matters to you right now. One little thing. And 5 minutes from now, it'll matter to the next person and the next person. So I do what my dad has told me to do, which is to come, show up, and sit here and let God show me what to say. So I know I bounce around a bit. But I will say that it boils down to all of us making a decision in our hearts that I'm sick and tired of living this life. The life that I've been living, that I am the master of. And that's really it. Because we're not the masters of our own lives. We are. My last name is Masters. But the reality is we have to give up this life to our Father in heaven. And He hands us over a new life. That's why some people call it born again. When you finally get to that point where you say, all right, Father, I have tried doing all this myself. I have tried being smart and being wise and witty and figuring out everything for myself. I've got degrees. I thought I was smart. I asked for wisdom. You gave me wisdom, but I didn't deal with it right. I need your help. Please, Father, show me what I'm supposed to do in my life. I love you with all my heart, my soul, my strength, my mind. And then shut up. Because that's really the answer. Be still and know that He is God. One time, a friend of mine, I got into an argument with him. I'm probably 5 years older than him, and we were, I can't say we were young. I'm thinking we were in our 30s. I was probably on the high side of my 30s and him on the low side of his 30s. And we were having an argument about things like this. And I had the upper hand. He was arguing some point. I don't even remember what it was. And we were just arguing it back and forth, like ping pong. And he would say, well, if that's true, then this. And I'd say, but if you say this, then this. And we got to that point where it was his turn to kind of come back. And you know what he said? He said, I think I'm just going to shut the hell up. And I said, what? And he says, yeah, I'm just going to shut the hell up. And I said, why? He goes, because you're right and I'm wrong. And I just thought to myself, I have never heard anybody tell themselves to shut the hell up. And we have to learn how to do that, because the reality is it's not you. It's your ego. It's your pride. It's your will. It's one of your demons that you've been allowing to make a home inside of you because of your anger, because of your resentment, because of your hatred for some injustice. Life is full of injustice. Life is full of injustice. If you didn't have injustice, you wouldn't be able to appreciate when somebody is just. If you didn't have problems in your life, you wouldn't be able to appreciate the problem solvers in your life. The reality is that our life is set up, all of our lives are set up as opportunities for us to overcome objectives in our lives, something that is in front of you that is causing you to stumble and fall, causing you to be angry. And you get angry at it. Instead of looking at it and saying, let me think about this for a minute. You get angry at it. You try and willfully move it out of the way. You try and use anger and will and ambition. You start adding them together. Think about that. Anger, will, ambition. Now you got to have a certain amount of ambition in life, otherwise you'd be laying there in bed. So all these things are kind of, there's a purpose for all of them, but we misuse them. God granted Solomon wisdom. He misused the wisdom, right? If you sew together anger, contempt, ambition, willfulness, even though all of these things they're important in our lives, used properly. But if you put them together to willfully do something, to just roll somebody over, be a bull in a china shop, were your intentions good? And you could stand there and look at the person that you've destroyed, and you can say, my intentions were good. But you used the dark side of the God-given, I guess the God-given things that He gave us to be able to, the tools of our life. You know, I get angry when I see somebody mistreating a small child. That angers me. So guess what? I use my ambition to move forward and say, hey, stop. Stop that right now. So, we have these emotions. We're supposed to use them and use them wisely. But when you use them unwisely, they become tools to do evil. So, the reason why my father pushes his meditation exercise over and over and over again, because the first thing you have to do in your life is learn how to be quiet, learn how to be still, learn how to hear your Father in heaven speak to you, to give you that wisdom. A lot of people are afraid to sit in a room by themselves. I'm completely alone in here. I'm talking to the camera. There's 2 cameras running, one there and one there. There are nobody else in this room. I asked our producer to leave like I have for the last few weeks. I got to tell you, it's not an easy thing to sit and talk to a camera like it's a person, but what I realize is that there are people watching this, and as I'm going on my journey, I have to be willing to endure certain uncomfortable things. Is it comfortable? No. Is it kind of strange for me? Yeah. But I have to understand that if I can't be guided to do what I have to do by my Father in heaven, then it's just on me and my intellect, which I don't trust anymore. So I kind of enjoy doing this. I look at this whole pandemic thing over the last few months as a tremendous opportunity for all of us to come up a notch or 2 or 3 and get outside your comfort zone. Have you ever heard the cliche, thinking outside the box? Is this thinking outside the box? I'm not trying to think outside the box. What I'm trying to do is to not be in my comfort zone. My comfort zone is putting on a suit and tie and having an audience of people and entertaining. But there's nobody here. There's not a sound in this building. I have to find it in my heart to speak to you. And only my Father in heaven knows who you are. That is more important to me than looking smart, sounding smart, or even being smart. Because I'm learning from my Father in heaven. I'm learning from watching myself give these talks. My last week's talk, I watched it with my wife, and I cried at the end, just a little bit. But I thought to myself, isn't that sweet? That guy is moving toward his Father in heaven. That's the movement that you need to be moving on. It's not easy. It's not within our comfort zone. We've made ourselves comfortable. We've given ourselves comfortable homes, cars, things, clothing, jewelry, everything to make us feel comfortable. Notice how I'm coming to these talks in a t-shirt. I've not grown a beard since I was 28 years old. And even then I only did it for a couple of weeks. This is the longest I've ever had a beard. It's uncomfortable. But I keep thinking to myself, I want to be outside of my comfort zone. I'm talking to people the way I've never talked to people in my life. Is it going to cost me in business? It may. Do I care anymore? Nope. Because I know that my Father in heaven is going to guide me in a direction where He wants me. And I don't know what that purpose is. But I can tell you one thing right now. I feel like I have more purpose in my life today than I've ever had. So I've said it before. I hope that you will join me on this trip. I come to do this talk, and I do the radio show every day. I just show up. I show up because I know that our world needs somebody to show up and stand up and say what needs to be said. And I don't even know what that is until I'm in that moment. So here we are. What are you going to do next? What's your tomorrow going to be like? What's the rest of your day today going to be like? Or the rest of your night tonight, whenever you're watching this? I would suggest that when this video is over, maybe just have a few moments with your Father in heaven and let Him know that you love Him with all your heart. Even if you say to yourself, I don't know if I do. You have something inside of you holding you back with claws in you. Claws in you. And you need to reach towards your Father in heaven and say, Father, I want to love you with all my heart, all my mind, all my spirit, all of me, and all of my strength. And guess what? Father in heaven can reach down into hell and pull you out. But you got to reach up for Him first. I'm Alan Masters. I hope that I did you some good today. I'm on a journey. Join me. Thanks for watching.